Right, I apologise for being a little early. I just can't. Look, I can't bear the weight to go through this because I feel quite sick. I'm already familiar with most of the information that I'm about to give you, but it is pretty lengthy and detailed and distressing. So I guess there's a disclaimer from the off. Yeah, I just feel sick. So also, before I start, while I just wait for a couple of people to realise that I'm live, maybe I'll edit this part out later. If anybody is on Discord and they see a direct message or any messages in any of the servers from Serge, just know that he passed away. His account has been hacked or, taken over by a Muslim, which is a pretty despicable and like it's kind of emotionally jarring to see a message from him. And I must admit that even though I knew the truth, it like hope springs eternal. So whomever, like the individual is who's done that, repent. I think I'm going to stop talking directly to you because I've got some choice things that I could say which aren't very Christian. Right, let's get on with it. But let's just get on with it. Right, so these, I can see the chat, by the way. These are, this covers the month of February, which of course is a slightly shorter month than its fellows. And these are, like, this is just a checklist, as it were, of the persecution of Christians within that month, specifically by Muslims. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Okay, so Nigeria. Who doesn't know about Nigeria yet? It's the number one place, by the way, in the world where your risk of being murdered as a Christian for your faith alone is highest. So on February the 25th, which is just over a month ago from the time I'm recording this, or live streaming this even, members of ISWAP, Islamic State Western Africa Province, slaughtered 3 Christians during an attack on Chibok, which is in the nation's northeast, for anyone who's not great with Nigerian geography. The terrorists also destroyed a church, Church of the Brethren in Nigeria. I don't know if I'm going to get through all this. I'm going to try, though, because it's really, really important. Pakistan, as many as many as 200 Muslims slaughtered one guy. Pervez Massi, who was a 25-year-old Christian, he owned a video game store. So on the evening of February 13th, he refused to gamble with some young Muslims who had entered his store. The next day, which, we all know as Valentine's Day, February 14th, a mob of, and this is a direct quote, around 150 to 200 Muslims came to the Christian area of Lahore, some with guns, and started insulting and beating people, including Pervez, says the report. This is another quote. Despite his uncle... Oh, we're only at the beginning. Get it together, Kate. Despite his uncle's attempts to stop the beating, the attackers dragged Pervez, 25-year-old boy, away to torture him with sticks and bricks, threatening that they would not leave him alive. It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. Maybe. Oh, jeez. Louise. Eventually, one of the Muslims, named Sunni, son of Allah Ditta, the irony, hit the young Christian in the head, and when Pervez fell to the ground, everyone fled the scene like the absolute princes among men and highly courageous soldiers of Allah that they are. That's not a direct quote, unless you're attributing it to me. I feel like I'm getting angry now, which is better than the... Anywho, firing into the air as they went, because they also have access to rap videos. Tramps. Sorry. I'm not sorry. So now we go to the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. This is February 24th. Islamic terrorists linked to the Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, slaughtered 4 Christians. I mean, we're getting up there in terms of numbers already. After barricading and setting their car on fire. What a way to go. One of those killed was Sylvia Kombi of the Anglican Church of Congo, long held for her service in providing trauma counselling to the terror-stricken region. She was coming from our diocese in Kasindi, where she had gone to give counselling to Christian refugees living in Lubiriha, explained a local source. Whilst eulogising, Sylvia, the head of the missions arm of the South Rwenzori Diocese of Uganda, said this. She would spend days with the Muslim background believers here to pray with them and guide them on how to face persecution and become bold servants of the Lord. She was a humble and loving sister who put the gospel, my hands are shaking, who put the gospel needs of the church first, and she never hesitated whenever we needed her to come all the way from the Democratic Republic of Congo to train our evangelists. Okay. Right, now we're going to go on to Muslim attacks on apostates, blasphemers, don't get me started, and evangelists. Right, this is Iran. 3 former Muslim converts to Christianity, a married couple and a separate woman, were, according to a February 9th report, summoned to begin serving prison sentences of between 2 and 5 years for, wait for it, acting against national security. How, you may ask? I'll tell you how. By attending a house church and, this is a direct quote, spreading Zionist Christianity, end quote. The man, Ramin Hassanpour, is to serve 5 years in prison. His wife, Saida, and the other woman, who is Sakin Bejati, are each to serve 2 years apiece. A 4th member of the group, who is Hadi Rahimi, is already serving a 4-year sentence. In a separate incident, authorities called on 10 other Muslim converts to Christianity, who were earlier cleared of all their charges, to take re-education classes led by Islamic clerics. Because these former Muslims had been misled to Christianity, authorities explained. Stop right there. Who misled them? Who misguided them? I'll give you a clue. 2 right arms. Anyway. These classes were meant to guide them back onto the right path. Allah says, who are you to guide who I have misguided? I'm just throwing it out there. Earlier, the prosecutor in the case against these Christians had said that apostasy from Islam was punishable under Islamic law or Sharia and in the hereafter, though it was not criminalized in the laws of Iran. According to the February 1st report, hi everybody. Despite this, the Christians must now endure 10 compulsory sessions with Islamic clerics who are, sign me up, mate, who will attempt to revert them to Islam in what is a clear breach of their rights under the international covenants to which Iran is a signatory. Such so-called re-education sessions have become much more common in recent years, even appearing in the list of corrective punishments on official court papers. Okay. Egypt. A Christian man was convicted of blasphemy and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. On January 29th, Marco, the anglicised version is George, was pronounced guilty of contempt for Islam. Again, sign me up. I'm getting really irritated. And exploiting religion in promoting extremist ideas. According to the February 9th report, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to stick with George, but it's Gerges. George, reported to be a private citizen, what does that even mean? Was arrested in June 2021 on suspicion of having sexual images on his mobile phone. Stop the press. Sorry. Oh, I'm losing it, mate. Right. On his mobile phone that the prosecutor said were in contempt of the Islamic religion. I'm just thinking of Reliance of the Traveller that says there's no punishment for sleeping with a dead woman or your sister or two women if it's anal. No punishment. Zero punishment to that dude who's pretty much a legend anyway, like just in terms of like outrageous indecency. But this guy, anywho, sexy pics that were in contempt of the Islamic religion. I'd love the deets, but anywho, it's not clear why, how he came to be arrested. Not even clear how the images came to be on his phone. Other charges relating to violations of Egypt's cybercrime law and using religion to promote extremist thought were added later. That's handy, without offering George or his defence team any opportunity to respond. A law banning insulting the heavenly religions, criminalising blasphemy, has been repeatedly used to silence Egypt's religious minorities. You may remember Nabil, he was 62 while he was kneeling in front of three like IS style executioners. I don't know if I played you the actual video or just like sat and cried and then spoke about it. I can't remember. But yeah, also very recently, another Coptic Christian stabbed. Right, good case. Since the beginning of 2021, there have been at least 3 similar cases to George's, in which the courts have resorted to unconstitutional and overbroad laws such as blasphemy. What kind of pictures? How did they get there? What's it got to do with anybody else? Like, what? Okay. Come on, there's stuff to get through. Uganda. Muslims beat unconscious a Christian evangelist on his way to participate in an open-air debate on Islam and Christianity. Now, was it Uganda where the guy was invited to a debate by Muslims and then had his head chopped off whilst his son had to flee for his life? Could have been. I may be wrong, but it's around that neck of the woods. Either way, this open-air debate on Islam and Christianity. When Charles Camilla, 43, was a little over 300 yards away from the site of the debate, 2 men approached and stopped his car. I stopped my car only to be ambushed by 6 other Muslims in Islamic attire who resurfaced from the bush at around midday, Camilla later explained from his hospital bed. Some beat me badly, whilst others cut me with some objects, and I lost a lot of blood as they pulled me out of my car and threw me out. Whilst thrashing him, one of his attackers said, scumbags, bless them, scumbags. You have been terrorizing our religion. Today, Allah has called you and you are going to meet him. 2 hours later, a passerby found Charles lying unconscious, still, in a pool of his own blood. About a week earlier, Charles was involved in another debate. Then he held and cited from a Quran problematic passages that he said were resolved through this Christian message. The Christian message even. This is a direct quote. I used the Quran to show Muslims that from the beginning of the earth to date, God wants all people to be saved, including Muslims. I also discussed Surah 72 about the powers of evil jinn and that they can be defeated by Isa, in brackets Jesus. And many Muslims converted to Christ. One sheikh wanted to grab the Quran from me, but I refused and left immediately. The second debate he was traveling to but never reached, was well publicised with my photo displayed as the main debater of the day in Christian-Muslim dialogue. Also in Uganda, February 6, Muslim family members beat, tied and tried to burn alive a former Muslim-turned-Christian evangelist, Malingumu Bruhan, 34, had long since left his village but returned for his grandfather's funeral. And then accepted his uncle's request to stay and visit. It wasn't long, however, before one of Bruhan's uncles, Musa, the irony, began to accost him, as Bruhan later explained. My uncle accused me of embarrassing them by holding Christian evangelistic open-air meetings and debates with Muslims. He accused me of being an infidel. I'm an infidel, by the way, by converting to Christianity, and that Allah will reward them in Jannah if they kill me. He said to me that it is now the right time for me to receive this, like the punishment from Allah, whereby I was going to be burned alive, and the birds of the air will enjoy me as their meat. What a Bruhan remained silent. He's better than me. Let me silence this twaddle. Sorry. Bruhan remained silent, which provoked his uncles to even greater fits of rage, because they seemed so balanced to start with. They started beating me up as others gathered firewood. Far out, mate. While another was sent to go for petrol, because they wanted to use it to burn me alive. During this time, a friend of Bruhan came looking for him, only to discover his shoe, which had come off as his uncles dragged him off for slaughter. My friend made several phone calls after finding my shoe, and they arrived and started searching for me. They found me behind the house about 100 meters away, tied and with firewood around me. They tried calling the police, which scared the attackers, and they fled. I'm just going to point out now that if you are heavily offended by words, potentially swear words that may just pop, like if I don't stay angry, I'm just going to start crying. So take your pick. I'm not annoyed with you, obviously. I'm just it. Right. He was taken to and treated in a medical clinic for head injuries. Because he is a well-known evangelist who frequently participates in Christian-Muslim debates, Bruhan has been targeted for and survived 11 murder attempts. Even though Allah guides who he guides and misguides who he misguides. Finally, in Uganda, been kind of busy in February. On February 6, Muslims intercepted and beat a relative as he was leaving church, where he had just publicly professed his newfound faith in Christ. Sadi Bwanga, 20, a grandson of a local Muslim sheikh, was seen earlier that morning travelling to the church with a Christian evangelist. His extended family followed him. When he and his friend exited the church, his family approached, yanked Sadi, who was carrying a Bible, to one side and confronted his companion. One of them told me, the evangelist later explained, "We know that you're a Christian." "No shizzle, Sherlock. We know that you're a Christian, but our son is a Muslim. We do not want to see you here." So I left immediately. Just a little distance away, I heard loud screaming from Sadi, crying for help. When another vehicle drove by and stopped, the Christian told them what was happening, prompting the Muslims to place Sadi in their vehicle and drive away, e.g., take him hostage and kidnap him. The evangelist continues, "I knew that they were going to kill my friend, so I alerted my pastor, who organised 2 vehicles immediately, and we drove to Sadi's home. On arrival, there were several people outside, but on seeing us, they fled. We found Sadi outside his cottage, lying in a pool of blood and half naked at around 2:30 with serious head and leg injuries, but still alive." Thank Jesus. Sadi was rushed to a hospital, at which point his relatives turned to and destroyed his home. He was released from the hospital more than a week later, which goes some way to just use your imagination. It wasn't like a scratch on the knee. And that was also on Valentine's or February 14th and was last reported as being on an intravenous drip with a nurse monitoring his condition at a house in an undisclosed location. Righty-ho, let's get on to attacks on churches, seminaries and crosses. Why not? Right, come on. Burkina Faso, during the night of February 10th, through to the morning of the 11th, jihadists came by motorbike. That would be so funny, just as a standalone sentence, but it's really not. It's just the fact they've put it in inverted commas. And attacked Saint Casito de, so sorry, mate, Bougri, a seminary that houses nearly 150 seminarians or future clergy, in training. Although no lives were lost, there was a lot of material damage, notes the report. The attackers burned out 2 dormitories, a classroom and a vehicle. Another vehicle was stolen. because that's always the mark of a righteous crusade or whatever. A crucifix was destroyed after the invaders told the Christians that they don't want to see crosses. The terrorists also told them to go now, that they will come back, and if somebody remains there, they will be killed. Egypt. Over the course of 2 days, dozens of Christian residents in a village in Minya staged a demonstration, according to a February 10th report, to demand government approval for the construction of a church in their village to replace their place of worship, which burned down in 2016. Just burned down. A week later, after this protest, local authorities responded to the demonstration by arresting 9 Christians from the village. The report adds that the protests and arrests are just the latest incidents in a hot-button issue of sectarian discrimination in Egypt, where pretty well-known Muslim apologists will tell you that we love the Christians, it's all good, G. Sectarian discrimination in Egypt, where the country's Christian minority has struggled against government policies that severely restrict the building and renovation of churches, almost like under Sharia. A happy coincidence, I'm sure you agree. Okay, so Algeria now. Authorities arrested a Christian man for preaching outside of his sealed-off church and giving a passerby a Bible, according to the February 28th report. The man, Mohammed Derab, remains in detention for anti-conversion charges. They're just an absolute joke. All of that twaddle brought against him. The arrest occurred in Tizi Ouzou, a province in Algeria, so it's probably got a French accent when you say it, that has already seen several church closures, including a new threatened closure from the provincial governor. Due to the closures, Brother Derab, an elder at the closed Tafat church in Tizi Ouzou, preached outside of his church on January 27th and gave one listener a Bible. Whoa. I'm sorry, but I just can't cope with this absolute outrage. All of it. And everyone, people are like, no way. What? Christians are getting persecuted? Shut up. Or just flat out denying it. Just going, nah, it's not on the mainstream, so it's not happening. Where was I? Sorry, he gave out a Bible, everyone. Start gathering the kindling. He was arrested anyway the next day. Authorities searched his home afterwards and confiscated all of his Bibles. There is going to come a time, read your Bibles while you can. During the trial, an Algerian judge sentenced Brother Derab to 18 short months, 18 moon behind the door. Oh, seriously, 18 months in prison. Brother Derab is currently detained in prison, awaiting his next trial to appeal the judgment next month. So you can stick him in your prayers. Mohammed Derab is his name. As the report explains, this incident is representative of a pattern of persecution against the Protestant churches of Algeria. To date, at least 16 churches affiliated with the Protestant Church of Algeria remain closed or have been threatened with closure. The threats come as a result of failure to comply with the 2006 ordinance that requires non-Muslim worship to operate only in licensed buildings. However, the Licensing Commission has yet to issue a single permit. So in other words, it's an effectual ban, because we do love a little bit of fair play and freedom of conscience and freedom of religion and freedom. He who believes in the Son is free and free indeed. Just throwing it out there. Anyway. Turkey. Come on, mate. Authorities gave permission to turn a historic and much venerated monastery into a nightclub. A nightclub. Can we just pause a minute? A nightclub. I've got nothing against nightclubs whatsoever. I also know, like, full well that there are Arabs enjoying nightclubs and slightly seedier establishments in like my very own hometown here. However, on the surface, I think alcohol's haram. I think, well, not moved. Yeah, anyway, nightclub, everyone. During the videotaping of an advertisement, which included people dancing to loud music, haram, in the monastery's courtyard, Orthodox Christians responded with outrage at what they deemed the intentional desecration of the cherished site. Sure, it was just accidental. What do you reckon? Located in Trabzon and built into a steep cliffside, Panagia Sumela Monastery was founded in 386 AD. Right. And operated until the Turkish genocide of Christians, the Armenians, the Assyrians, the Greeks, etc., when it was abandoned, vandalized, used by smugglers, and eventually burned. After a lengthy rehabilitation, however, the monastery was reopened for tourists, only to be immediately vandalized and now mocked in the context of making an advertisement. It does, villainous. It really does. But any fear at all, like, impedes, I don't know, like, there's a balance that can be had in there, but you have to keep praying. That's why anxiety is such a wasp name. Right. According to a separate February 2nd report, local Muslim villagers have transformed an ancient church, the Assyrian church, for more a day. I can't pronounce that properly. More a day. Built in the 7th century, into a horse stable. Oh, you've got to laugh, mate. You've got to love it. How threatened could you be by the truth? How much more threatened could you be? Like, even the crosses, the buildings, After it was left by local Turkish authorities to fall into ruin and decay. It's worth noting that debasing and desecrating Christian churches and monasteries by turning them into horse stables, for example, is an ancient Islamic tactic. I'm going to just say that some horseshit, should stay where it belongs in other pseudo-religious buildings. Oof. Right. For example, Ottoman Sultan Muhammad II vowed to transform the churches of Constantinople into stables for his army's forces in the years before the First Crusade. The Turkish ruler of the ancient Christian city of Antioch converted its main cathedral into a horse stable, and a Georgian chronicler wrote of how holy churches throughout Asia Minor served as stables for their, in brackets, Turkish invaders' forces. Switzerland? It's an unusual one. Well, not too unusual now. Crosses are set to disappear from the nation's largest cemetery. Oh, buckle up, mate. Everyone, just take a breath here. Anyway, they're set to disappear from the largest cemetery in the nation because their site disturbs people from other religions. Oh no. What would they do? Squint, put a pair of sunglasses on, shut your eyes, don't go there. Although the report is careful not to mention who these people might be. In recent years, Switzerland, like many other European nations, has seen a massive influx of Muslim migrants, and wherever these numbers grow, attacks on crosses, including throughout Christian cemeteries, tends to grow with them, potentially utterly coincidental. A separate February 16th report tells of a controversial imam, even controversial is in inverted, Abu Ramadan, a Libyan, and his sermons. Controversial. In one, he said before his Swiss mosque congregation, which I don't know if it would offend me if I saw it. He said, "Oh Allah, I ask you to destroy the enemies of our religion." to destroy the Jews, the Christians, the Hindus, the Russians, and the Shiites. God, please destroy them all and restore Islam to its ancient glory. Please restore it to its initial state in the world. One geezer having a breakdown. Anyway, although the imam is accused of inciting racial hatred, he still continues to... Only accused? What? Anywho, he still continues to attend his mosque. Although he is also accused of having received 600,000 Swiss francs in social assistance, i.e. welfare checks, benefits, whatever you call them where you live, if you're lucky enough to have them where you live, in the last 13 years. I don't know how much 600,000 francs is, but it sounds like a lot of francs, to be frank. No, and it also, the quote, an official quote, like from an official, I should say, is that was without any effort to integrate. The official went on to say, we cannot strike out social assistance for a refugee, even if we condemn his remarks. That's 13 years later, bro. That's 13 years of assistance. Hardly like a refugee. Well, anyhow, the report concludes this Libyan political refugee, returned several times to his own country in a clandestine manner, clandestinely even. Not that in fear of his life, is he? During the investigation, he did not cooperate with the criminal authorities. He refused to answer questions about his income. If convicted, he risks losing his C license and C, like the letter C, and being expelled. I mean, I won't sleep. Right, Germany. On Sunday, February 6, a man entered a Catholic church and interrupted evening mass by throwing himself onto the ground and screaming, Allah. I'm just going to interject that I'm guessing there was no ethereal answer. And he just carried on laying there feeling like anyway. A congregant described the incident. There are several rumbles at the door of, this is obviously a translation from the German, so hold on. There are several rumbles at the door of the neo-Romanesque church, and then suddenly, during a song, a man with an object in his fist, only later do I recognize it as a drink can, comes forward behind us through the side aisle. It is frightening. While the congregation is still singing, he sits down in the front row, right in front of the singing Monsignor Terboven, and says something. Now the organ falls silent. The intruder throws himself to the ground in front of the altar and shouts something I only understand, Allah. Like, that's not what the guy said. This is what the report, like the person reporting the incident is saying. He only understood the word Allah. Several participants in the service who were closer confirmed this to me later. Although the priest responded, this is now not the guy's report, this is just a generic report. Although the priest responded by saying, you are disturbing our service, you are welcome to sit here, but you must be quiet, other congregants, including an off-duty police officer, escorted the man outside, even as he said, direct quote, incomprehensible, confused things about Israel and the Mossad. The priest continued his sermon by saying there are many people from other countries living among us who have no home here, like the man who just disturbed our service. The life of migrants is very difficult. But he also said the leaders of the Muslims in Europe assume that they will be in power here in a few decades. That should make us think. You're not wrong, Padre. Okay, so France. On Sunday, February 20th, a Muslim man entered a church during Mass and started to scream, Allahu Akbar. According to the report, the individual of Caucasian type, possibly Chechen, entered the Saint Gervais church during Mass. He then walked around the religious building playing rap music with his phone. Music is haram. Then shouted Allahu Akbar several times. The individual then left the church and fled. I mean, a day well spent. I think you'll all agree. Several police forces have been mobilized to find the unarmed man because, of course, in France, people like walking, running, skipping into church, shouting, about this snack bar. Like stuff goes down pretty frequently. Separately, following Mass on Sunday, February 27th, a Muslim man spit on a priest. Let's all just take a moment. Just gobbed on a priest. Tramp. Right, well, he was... whilst he was blessing the square in front of the Saint Michel Church in Bordeaux. And there is a video. I don't have the screen sharing capabilities and I don't want to see it anyway. Tramp. A week earlier in January, 6 Christian statues, including one of baby Jesus, were found decapitated inside a church in Poitiers. I mean, we don't want to discriminate against, like, the decapitation of infant statues, as it were, statues of infants. How retarded is this? Like, I've got to pause a minute. Like, I mean, I'm down almost to the end anyway, but can we just pause for one hot second? Because I'm going to get onto the most ridiculous story in a minute. I've just thought of it that I've read in a long time, and trust me. What is the, like, destroying crosses, statues, pictures, tablecloths, balloons, streamers, let me look around, tea towels, bunches of flowers, Mother's Day cards, I don't know, whatever, like external shiz. Like, I'm not calling the, like, icons or anything that, but I'm just saying it's so, like, redundant. It's so indicative of, like, a worldly, fleshly view on what is an eternal, like, promise, and the hatred that stems from Satan. It just, like, retard. Anyhow, also in late January, a North African migrant wearing a... this is traditional Islamic garb, and it's called a jelly-bia, a jelly-baya, a jelly-baya. It's not a jelly bean or a jelly baby. It's a jelly-baya. It's not jelly tots either. Jelllabiya. Anyway, he's wearing one of these. Also carrying a mahusid knife, just to keep you updated here, and a Quran. So he's got the outfit. He's got the big blade, a long knife, and a Quran. Where did he feel the need to go? Into a church, faced towards Mecca, and began to pray. What do you need the knife for, bruv? What do you think is going to happen? On January 27th, a Muslim man entered a church during a funeral service. I've been to, like, many funerals this last couple of years. I don't know what I would do. Like, I'm not sure that I would have the composure to, like, remain, like, forgiving and loving in that moment. Anyway, went into the church whilst people were paying their last respects and, like, you know, about to bury potentially a, like, beloved family member, and began to shout Allahu Akbar. I mean, it's a catchy catchphrase, but it just doesn't do it for me. He left the scene before the police arrived. No way. Near where he was standing, a swastika symbol was found. Nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now just grab very quickly. I feel like I've already put it out there on the community tab, so I should find it on the community tab. But no, let's. It should come up on my. Yes, here we go. Right, teacher's throat slit. Right, throat cut, because get on it, people. After somebody dreamed that she had insulted the Prophet Muhammad. Just a dream. You know, I don't know if you've ever been. I'm not really just talking to men, but yeah, sometimes ladies can dream that you've done stuff, and then you may feel unfairly persecuted because, like, you know, it's a dream, but it feels real, but it's still a dream. But not only is it like one person's dreamt it, there's, like, cahoots going on and forward planning, and, you know, a teacher was murdered by a colleague. So another alleged educated, you know, human being in the 21st century. In the 20th. Anyway, in modernity, 21st. By a colleague and her two nieces after a relative, so a next person, the fourth idiot, dreamed that she had insulted the Prophet Muhammad. The trio ambushed Sathura Bibi yesterday. This report came out yesterday, so 2 days ago, at the main gate of the all-girls religious school, according to authorities in, guess where? Pakistan. She was attacked with a knife and a stick and died after her throat was slit, they added. I don't know where my admins are. Can you hide or okay those comments, please? The main suspect is a colleague who allegedly planned the crime with the two nieces studying at the Jamia Islamia Falahul Binat school. Police said the girls told them a relative had dreamt the victim had committed blasphemy against the Prophet Muhammad. We're not going to even go into how you can blaspheme a man. We're just going to stick with, they told the police this as well, as if like to say like it's justified. That's how it went down, bro. Few issues in Pakistan are as galvanizing. So I'm reading a report from a mainstream source, but few issues in Pakistan are as galvanizing as blasphemy. And even the slightest suggestion of an insult to Islam can supercharge protests and incite lynchings because they love a lynching. Officers said they were also investigating if the main suspect, Umrah Aman, had a personal grudge against Miss Bibi. Somebody call in Sherlock. Yesterday's incident took place in Dera Ismail Khan in the country's ultra-conservative northwestern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, which borders Afghanistan, which, as you'll know, is like a veritable paradise of freedom and religious tolerance, or number one in the world for the discrimination and persecution of Christians, murder, you name it. Known as madrasas, bless these people for trying to educate, at least. Known as madrasas, religious schools have long served as vital lifelines for millions of impoverished children in Pakistan, where social services are chronically underfunded. That is one side of the coin, certainly. However, critics say that students can be brainwashed by hardline clerics who prize rote learning, i.e. like a repetition, of the Quran over core subjects such as, maths. Rights groups say Pakistan's blasphemy laws are often wielded to settle personal vendettas. It's not only rights groups who say that, it's a fact. And the C section of the blasphemy, is a mandatory death sentence. Last year, a Sri Lankan factory manager working in Pakistan was beaten to death and set on fire by a mob after being accused of blasphemy. I've got to say it, sometimes they just owe someone money, or they're owed money rather. So to get out of paying the money, you just accuse them of talking shiz about some geezer, or blasphemy, as they like to call it. The Centre for Social Justice, which is an independent group advocating for the rights of minorities, say at least 84 people were accused of committing blasphemy last year, and 3 people were killed by lynch mobs over similar allegations. And killed by a lynch mob, let me tell you, I've read of cases, sometimes I don't really share them, but just dragged out of a police station because the police can't protect it. The police might just drop you off outside because they don't want to get lynched, and just torn to shreds, bodily, or just beaten, with sticks, fists, sandals. I don't know. Yes, Martin. I got through it about crying. Can you believe it? I'm pretty thankful that I was praying earlier. I may have uttered the word tramp a few times. So, sorry about that. No, I'm not sorry. Someone spitting in anyone's face is a tramp. I mean, no offense to the traditional demographic known as tramps at this stage. Anyway, I had to get it out of the way. I'm so sorry, because I thought, why am I doing this first thing in the day? Like, it's going to kill my, it won't kill my mood because Jesus makes me up happy every day. But, bro, like, there's some heap of crap. And imagine now we're at the end of March. So there'll be another report. I'm going to say also that report was from Raymond Ibrahim, who I've got like ongoing permission to publicize the information that he like very, it is kind. It's not that I don't mean very kindly, but I guess for anyone who's not like involved in this kind of thing, it's difficult to conceptualize how emotionally draining and spiritually like, not damaging, but it's very easy to become angry, like despondent, to start having nightmares, to not sleep very well, or to like feel a certain detachment, and then like Satan gets in at all angles. But like it has to be done, and he compiles very well, without any outward signs of having had a breakdown, as it were. So God bless Raymond. Yeah, look him up online. Any cause for chit chat? Like, I'll go for it. I mean, I'll probably cut this bit out and put the persecution stuff like on the other channel as a complete thingy. But I feel sick now. Now I just got rid of that happy feeling for getting to the end of it. Does anyone? Yeah. Does anyone have any comments? Do I have any admins in also? I don't think I do. Okay. Kay, do I know Haji? No, I don't. Mohammed says, Kay, do you know Bro Haji? You could have a good debate with him if you ever caught him. Is he running? Like, I'm not chasing. Yeah, I'm not adverse to debates, but it seems at Speaker's Corner, like, if they, everybody speaks to me, but they're not really that willing to, like, anymore come on the camera. Some people are, but the ones who I prefer to debate, like ones who are quite knowledgeable-ish, they don't love me anymore. They never did love me because they're just, that kind of deal. Okay, well, you can get into, hit me up in the comment section, Mohammed. Yeah, so what have I got coming? I'm gonna make a video about the history of Speaker's Corner. It's very, like, I think it's very interesting. Sorry, I shouldn't just assert that it's very interesting. I'm trying to get some stuff together on the Nephilim, but it's like a pretty, I don't know, like in-depth / I don't know, like it has. Anywho, having a look at that, but like by my lonesome. So that's going down pretty all right-ish. Avoiding still the Mahusiv assignment that's due in not that long. Church Fathers, the Perfect Penitent. Like, I've got streams lined up, and they're getting on my nerves now. They're getting too many, so I have to start doing them. Yinka. About Speaker's Corner, you mean? Yeah, sorry. Brother Yinka is saying I think he's talking to me. You should write a book, it says. Sonny, you're funny. I'm going to okay your comments after. I'm just going to go through them because my admin seems to have collapsed in, I don't know, fits of hysteria over the persecution news, which is quite bad, to be honest. It does make me angry, but most when I'm by myself, because when I'm reading it out, like, I kind of hear my own little like heckles if I was like there and someone was saying this crap to me. But usually it just makes me sad. Like, it's just heartbreaking. Some of the so like children, babies. Not that their lives are worth more than adults, not at all. But it's just I hate the thought of children being like scared. Like, it's a problem because when my daughter was little, I just wanted to over comfort her. Like, it's not like it's healthy to be able to feel scared in a safe environment, like watching something that's got suspense in it. But like, the one case I always think of, watching your mother like raped and dismembered before being like macheted in the head as a not even 3-year-old is pretty darned. I don't know what the word. I think we need a new word. There is no word for what it is, but it is that. And that's what the image. One of the images that I see in my head often. That little girl. I've brought the mood right down again, haven't I? Sorry. People who are persecuted are blessed. There is that to remember. It is foretold by Christ. It is clearly like the Antichrist, i.e. plural, who do these things. It's not only Muslims who persecute Christians, of course, because the godless are right up there as well, i.e. like, communist, atheistic, like China, North Korea, etc. So it really isn't just Muslims. That report happened to be focused on Islamic persecution of Christians, or Muslim persecution of Christians, more correctly. But it's not just them. But I mean, yes, Arabian Princess. Yep, we are hated because if they can't, if they hate Christ, no student can be greater than their teacher. India's pretty. Yeah. They're all like they're up there. I've got I'm just looking at it over there. I can't get up and get it. Well, I could, but I'm lazy. But yeah, I've got a lot of open doors, like informationals and stuff that just like, if you think you can't be bothered to pray for the persecuted church, like I would like challenge you to spend, I don't know, half an hour reading some of the cases. I mean, I can facilitate like the ones I don't like. I choose not to make videos on because I don't know that I would get through them. They're like, yeah, and then maybe consider whether or not you feel like these people deserve our prayers, because they're our brothers and our sisters. Well, they were before they were brutally murdered, if you see what I mean. They're still in the body of Christ, but like their suffering translates outwards to all of us. So our joy also like blesses them. So I'm not saying get yourself depressed. I'm saying get yourself praying to protect yourself against feeling despondent, which is what Satan wants, like as a response. But it is utterly like understandable, because compassion means to suffer with, So if you have compassion, obviously you're moved to pray, like if you're a prayerful person. And if you're not, why not? What's the worst? Don't quote me on that, because sometimes I say that, what's the worst that could happen? And then I go, oh yeah, I'm glad I asked, because there's the worst. But there's things you can do that don't involve money. Like time is far more precious than money. If you think that's like an exaggeration or not true, come at me right now, because money is meaningless if you have no time. Love is meaningless if you have no time in which to love. Everything else, like, I don't mean of an eternal nature, but I mean, if you don't have like, time is the most precious thing you're ever going to have, ever going to be given by other people. Imagine that, the blessing, somebody's giving you their time. Like, you'll never get that time back again. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, if you've ever spent any time in palliative care, like environments, end of life stuff, like, you will know, you will see at least how the perception and increased value of time applies to those people. Like, if you had a month to live, like, would you realize how you're frittering and wasting, like, not blessing people with your time, like, or receiving edification or blessing for yourself? Would you see it? And now see, potentially you've got less than a month. And that's all there is to it. Like, almost 200,000 people die, like, every day. Not many of them get out of bed in the morning and think, right, today's the day, I better just tie up my affairs here, borrow some money if they're from London. Not many people think it. not many people know it, and they're not, I guess it's a blessing to know, because you can tie up your affairs and you can say your goodbyes and you can make provisions for your children or like your loved ones, but they don't. And none of us do. And whether or not this is end times that are playing out around us, because the world is mental, make no mistake, it's our end times. Like if you're in this, like a similar age bracket to me, and I'm not giving away any numbers, like even if we have 50 years left on this planet, like as in alive, at least 15, 20 of those are a lesser quality of life. Like I don't mean it's less valuable. I mean, like a family member of mine just turned 90, an absolutely astounding woman. But like her opportunities for doing things that I do without thinking, like with ease, are heavily restricted by her, like the greatness of her years, as it were. So even if we've got 50 years left, it might really translate as like 30, 35 in which to make a difference, to tell people you love them. If you do, don't think about it. If you don't, I may want to draw your attention to some, just like 2 commandments, or one of them, one of Jesus's greatest ones. And I don't mean like in a top 10 hits way. I mean, they're called the great commandments. Martin Ellen, how dare you, sir? How dare you? I'm not wasting time. Not at all. Nothing I do for Jesus. I know you're only kidding. Nothing I do for Jesus. And I do waffle for Jesus. I'm going to make a t-shirt. Yeah. It's not it's not a waste if I help one person see things differently. Sunny Sparkles. If you are a prolific letter writer, then get onto persecution.org or Open Doors for your region and the Get Involved or the Volunteer tab, and you'll see that there are opportunities for all of us. I do also write to members of the persecuted church. There are little like guidelines, not to promise things, and not to, apart from like biblical stuff, but not to like criticize the regime depending on where you're writing. But it is see you later, Theophilus. Oh, bless you. God bless you. I hope you have a lovely day. Where was I? Write some letters to people who are having a hard time, because if you know what a waffle or a pancake is, you're blessed. Let's have it right. Some poor children and people don't have access to Nutella or honey or cuddles, or public baptisms. I feel like my mum now. I'm getting a bit like, eat your vegetables. There's a poor child in Africa. I used to think, send them the vegetables. I can be generous. But anyhow, Sunny, don't tell everyone. They'll all want to do it. Anyway, just realize that we all have limited time. That's how God has designed this. How do I describe it nicely? Because it is this creation, this event that we call life. Like I was thinking it earlier and trying to get it into words to maybe do a post on Patreon. But like loneliness, sadness. I hope you don't actually, but conceptually, loneliness and sadness can make, or depression, for example, can make one feel that one is existing as opposed to living. Like I don't know if you kind of know that little niche, that differentiation. The opposite, like you think to yourself, well, what's the opposite of sadness? Then it's happiness, but it really isn't. Like, and like lots of psychological problems that have a foundation in alienation and like self-imposed rescinding, or the inability to to feel and maintain happiness, are based in a lack of meaning. Once you are existing as opposed to participating in life, whatever life means to you at that point, even if it's just spiritually, emotionally, physically. Like, you may be fully functioning member of society, but inside you're cut off and you're alone and you're sad. Like, the answer to that, ultimately, I don't mean like Jesus, etc., but, well, yeah, I do. But in terms that everyone, even atheists, can understand or identify with, the answer is meaning. The answer is connecting again with meaning, because emptiness seeks to perpetuate itself. Like, it's the void only ever gets bigger. I know that a God-shaped hole and all of that stuff, but like, Jesus obviously brings the meaning, and then like the Holy Spirit illuminates us as to what we do with that meaning, because then we reach out to other people and help to counter their sadness or emptiness or lack of spiritual meaning. If we're part of the commission, I've just gone off on one. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, get some meaning. If you don't have it, if you don't have it, practice. There's nothing embarrassing or inherently. It's not cheating to sit and write a list of the things you're grateful for. And as some of my friends know, even on days, weeks, months, when you're not feeling it, you get a list of things that were not absolutely soul-destroyingly horrible yesterday. It's not quite a gratitude list, but you just build up how many things were not crap. Just anything to focus on a pattern of, because it's very easy to stay in the moment. Well, it isn't, but in terms of assessment of yourself, when you see a kid every day and then someone says, oh my gosh, haven't they grown? And you're like, oh yeah, I guess they have. You don't see it. And similarly with yourself, you can be far away from where you started emotionally and not give yourself credit or see the change, because people are terrified of change, even if it's a potential, moving home. You may be moving from a hovel into somewhere with enough room for your children, but change is still, including death and, moving home and changing jobs and changing relationships and changing yourself. It's the number one thing that induces fear and anxiety and potentially depression and all sorts of things in people. Imagine that. Positive change as opposed to familiar misery or familiar emptiness, potential meaning as opposed to just carry on existing as I am. But people choose to carry on existing because they're terrified. What if things are good and then I lose the good thing again? Then I deserve to kill myself. That kind of, I'm talking about depression, I guess, at this stage. Ben Yosef, you're right. It was never destined to change for the better in that respect. As you know, it's the same with any entropy. I was speaking about it yesterday. Even science sees that nothing becomes, order does not come out of disorder is where we're headed. You can't get chaos to evolve, for use of a better word, into non-chaos. Things always atrophy. They just get more disordered and more decayed. That's how we have this life set up. Anyhow. And one last question also, or a comment that I'll read out, and then I'm going to pretend to do my assignment again for a little while. But yeah, let me know. Holes in the narrative, that's funny. There's a remix. Some of those, we're proud of that. Let's not even go into the pride being a sin thing. Let's not do it. Final thoughts, comments, saying go, away, okay, any kind of life in the chat. Yes, Martin, it is. It's one of those unseen, silent killers, as it were. You're very welcome, Jordan. Right, I'm going to press the first button because why not? Someone's got to do it, and I'm the only one with. I'm not the only one with fingers, but I'm the only one who's able to control this button whilst my computer carries on being amicable. We've reached a kind of plateau in our. My computer's dying, not of loneliness, of atrophy and entropy and stuff that I said. Thank you, Arabian Princess. I love you lot as well. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to end it on a high. Thank you, Mohammed. Back at ya. Let's see. See, I've pressed the button, but now I'm reading it. It's like shadowy, but I can still see it. Right. I haven't heard that one. Holes in the narrative. You can send me the link. You won't see the link once you press send, but I'll see it. What's the UK coming to? It's a family show, darling. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Thank you, Martin. Much love. Back at you, babes. Everyone. I love you, people. Right. See you later. Blessings. Yada yada. Waffle, waffle. Waffle over and out. Later. Bye.